Hello and welcome to the Pocket Gamer podcast. It's episode number 500. Yes, 525. My name's James Gilmore. Joining me today, it's Matthew Ford.
Hello, sir.
Haven't seen you in a little bit. I feel like it's been a couple of weeks. Where have you been?
Oh, out and about doing...
Lies.
Well, not really out and about. That's a lie, isn't it? We've been nowhere. I mean, I tell you what I did do. I actually went to the cinema, which is a very...
What?
Yeah, it's a very unfamiliar thing at the minute. I can't believe I got there. I know. Before you jump on me.
No. I'm dying to go, but I'm really weighing it up at the minute because it is the one place where there's I've been to a restaurant where I had outdoor seating and that kind of thing, and I'm obviously I'm a mask guy. I'm not a mask. I'm a bandana. I've got one of those things. I think you get them for skiing. I don't ski, by the way. I can't afford it. But you wear them around your neck like a scarf, and then you pull it up. So I look like I'm about to rob the place.
Do a bank robbery. Yeah.
That's how I mooch around.
Yeah.
That's my mask.
It's the people that have gone proper custom and have got on, anything Halo ones or.
There's some good stuff out there. I've seen some nice. There's a Zim one with the Zim mouth. I like that.
Oh, that's cool.
That would be good. Speaking of animated stuff, we'll be doing that later. But no, I desperately want to do the cinema, but it is the one place where it's right, we are definitely locked in a room with no windows and bad ventilation, and if someone comes in and decides they're going to be funny and is going to be taking masks off and going because you know those people exist, and it's ugh.
Of course. No, I did actually take all the precautions, and I thought about it for a long time. Basically, they're putting on a load of Nolan films at the minute.
Yeah, well, Tenet's next week. That's what I want to see.
It is. I know that's one I might have to hold off for a little bit, unfortunately. But Interstellar was on, and I've never seen that in cinema. And I was I've always wanted to see it there. So I booked for a Tuesday evening because I thought quite late on, because I was right, I'll be quiet about then midweek. Yeah. It's in IMAX, so you have to pay even extra, and it's how many people are really going to pay that much to see a old film? So and then I checked the seats and everything beforehand, and it was quite quiet, and I booked it quite last minute. And then me and my friend were just right, we'll go. And then if it's too busy, we'll walk away.
Yeah,
we'll
if the vibes are bad, we'll bail.
Yes. So we went in, and there was it was a massive IMAX theatre. I don't know how many seats, 200, 300, maybe more. It's huge, the one in York. And then there was 6 people in the whole place.
Excellent. That's the dream scenario for
exactly.
Me. You walk in, and just generally in normal cinemas, and there's nobody there. Nice, this place is mine. If anyone says anything, I'm going to run over and hit you. With popcorn that I don't have, but we'll update next week. I'll see if I do go to Tenet. I really do want to do it.
Me too.
It's going to be exciting. But for those of us who are still stuck inside for whatever reason, and even those of us who are still out and about now and going to their jobs, you need things to play. You need games to play. You need stuff to do on your lonely commute, and that's why we're here to talk games. Specifically, just how much Epic is hamstringing every game that uses the Unreal Engine on mobile. Have they really overshot themselves with this whole Fortnite thing? We'll be talking about that in a second. Plus, we have got information about The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword on Switch? ? And a whole bunch of new releases, including the likes of Kingdom of Heroes Tactics War. We got the Bonfire 2 Uncharted Shores, Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair, and more. First, the news. I feel like I'm making friends with the camera today. Lots of eye contact. Hi, how you doing? You all right?
Really the camera is your friend.
Have you lost weight? Wow. All right. Hashtag FreeFortnite Cup is the new thing floating around the net at the minute, because this tedious saga has continued to unfold in a tedious fashion. It's getting more cringe by the day, Matthew. Obviously, I was talking to... Who was I talking to about this? Rick last week? Dave. Big Dave came on. And we were discussing the various sillinesses of this. And you probably listened to it last week. If you don't, you know that Epic put in-app payments in Fortnite that circumvented Apple's own one. Apple went, you can't do that. That's against our terms and conditions, and booted Fortnite off the App Store. Not there anymore. Google followed suit soon afterwards. So there's no Fortnite available from either of those two app stores. You can still sideload it on Google Play if you want to. And then lawsuits were filed, and a big pissing match between the two of them, seeing you can't do that, and yes, you can do that, and no, you can't, and all of that.
Which company do you support? The $1 billion one or the $1 trillion one?
Exactly, because and there's definitely no difference between the two of them. Like, and we've had people arguing underneath in the comments about this on the last show as well, but there is a difference between the two of them. Yes, one is has more billions, and like we said in the last show, the whole thing about criticizing Apple's big business practices entirely justified.
Yeah,
but the idea that the other side's on a crusade to fight for you, the little guy, is no, they don't care about you. Sorry,
it's the way they're handling it. I mean, if anybody's going to change something, it will be someone like Epic, who is a big company,
who's got clout.
Yes, indie developers can shout all they want. They're never going to give a damn Apple, unfortunately. But when you've got the biggest game in the world behind you, there's more chance they're going to listen. It's just the way they're going behind it with all the propaganda and 1984.
Yeah. It's all cringe. There's now a hat you can get which says Free Fortnite, and it's got the old Apple Macintosh logo, which used to be an apple with the coloured, the rainbow stripes across it, which they don't use anymore, but that was the OG one. And they've now got that, but with the Fortnite llama and Free Fortnite on it. And it's nobody gets that. It's such the cringe. And they'll be selling anti-Apple skins and stuff like that in the game, and they're having an event which is all themed around it. But the interesting thing that happened legally from all of this was when we spoke last week, it just had the fallout, and Epic was suing Apple, and they were having their little back and forth. The way it developed was after Google Play dropped them, it was Apple going, all right, then you want to sue us? Fine. We are going to remove access to the Epic DevTool stuff on Apple's platform. So, it's not just you can't get hold of Fortnite, you can't update the Fortnite app if you've already downloaded it on our platform. Any game that uses Epic's Unreal Engine, they're going to remove access to the dev tools from Epic, which means they won't be able to update their own engine and their own dev tool stuff, which means that any game using that engine, and we're talking about I had a quick flick through just to see what runs on it and what doesn't, and the classic game that used to run on it was that big sword smashy thing which was all based around swipes from back in the day, developed by Chair. It's Infinity Blade. That was the big one that was showing off the Unreal 4 engine, or Unreal 3 at the time might have been. But perhaps you've heard of a game called Oceanhorn 2.
Rings a bell.
Yeah, that's powered by the Unreal Engine, guys. So if Epic decides that they're going to keep this up and keep the fight going, then updates for that game in terms of the engine updates and whatnot will be rendered impossible.
It's also games that are in the works.
Yeah, games that are currently being developed. That goes out the window. A lot of the fighting games, like Injustice, those games, like the NetherRealm games, they all run off it as well. PES 2020, Pro Evo Soccer 20, perhaps you liked that game. Well, forget about it. This is going to have a much wider impact, and it's going to affect a lot of other developers as well. It's no longer just Epic going, well, it's our game. If we take the hit, we take the hit. No. All of Epic's customers are going to get boned by this because of their big dick waving competition. So, it's not great, is it?
It's not great. I just can't see Epic coming out on top of this, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know if there is a real winner to say from this altogether, but because at the end of the day, it's just both companies wanting more money, and it's never going to, I guess if 30%, obviously the commission goes down, that's going to filter down to to the indies and so forth. But I can't see Apple budging personally, and they fought this case several times in the past as well.
Yeah.
So it's just more when than if, I think. When Epic give up, or I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. Yeah.
I mean,
what is the long-term goal?
No, and how much collateral damage are you prepared to take, or prepared for your customers to take? Because Dave obviously wrote something about this as well after we talked about it, and we're talking PUBG Mobile, Beyond a Steel Sky, the most recent,
Revolution.
Yeah, exactly. This is all Unreal Engine stuff that is now going to be boned because no one can get to the tools anymore. And you wonder how much of it is threats and stuff. But today, Friday, is the day that's supposed to kick in. So we might find out later, and depends what more information comes out about it. But as of today, that was a threat for like, we're going to cut off your access to all of the DevTool stuff. So it could be happening right now. Who is going to back down? I don't know, and in some ways don't care hugely. No. If I genuinely thought that a win or a lose for either side would be like a genuinely beneficial thing for developers or for people or for our wallets or whatever, then great. But I just can't help but feel like the epic win, so to speak, where Apple suddenly like gives it a special deal or cuts its take, will have negative consequences in other ways. Apple will get the capital back somewhere else and will still get screwed.
They have deals, I think, in place with like Amazon and that sort of thing. Although there are anyway on iOS and stuff, because isn't it stuff like Kindle? You can go through you have to go through like the website.
Yeah.
And there's like shortcuts through that, and there was something else, Comixology. That's another one.
Yes, that's the one that has a unique system, because obviously Comixology is a thing that lets you sell stuff. And that's the thing that Apple's traditionally against, having a store within their store, which they don't get a cut of. But as we all know, like we have the Amazon app, for example, you have eBay, you do have apps that allow sales, and it's usually for shopping. It's not games almost all the time. So maybe they cut a special deal just for Fortnite, and all the other developers go, what? But what about us then? And then there's a whole new controversy that kicks out. But like,
especially with xCloud as well at the minute.
Exactly, and the xCloud, as we discussed last week, is not turning up on iOS at the moment, probably for similar reasons. So they're carving themselves an interesting little furrow here, but they can afford it. Like as someone pointed out, like Apple has more cash on hand in terms of billions than Epic has in its value. So like Apple is huge compared to Epic in terms of scale, but we are talking matters of billions. Who has the most billions? So they're still both enormous on a cosmic scale. So it's all just ridiculous giants fighting. But let's see next week where we are. Let's see if it's back on the store. Let's see who bottles it. Speaking of things appearing on stores and then vanishing again and then maybe appearing again. So this popped up on an Amazon listing. There was in the Switch bit of Amazon, apparently there was a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered thing that popped up. And then after people noticed that, went, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered? Oh, that's cool. We hadn't heard about that. Someone else was like, check out this page. And it was Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword that had popped up, and someone's got a little screen cap of it. Pre-order, guarantees $69.99.
Nintendo tax, yeah.
Holy cow.
It's just Nintendo in it, yeah.
But it popped up on Amazon. It's gone now, Matt. It's vanished.
Did it ever exist, though? That's the real question.
We've got the screen cap, and as you know, the internet never lies. So it must be true. This isn't the first time we'd actually heard about something like this, right?
It's not,
been rumours for a while.
Yeah, I think there was rumours around last year, but 2 years ago specifically, it was Eiji Onuma, who is the series head for the Legend of Zelda series. He was at a concert, a Zelda concert in Japan, and he was speaking to the audience, and people translated, and they didn't get it all, but one of the things he specifically said was, would you like Skyward Sword on Switch? And that was 2 years ago. Now, 2 years later, this would sort of be around this right time, do you know what I mean, to bring it across?
For the remaster time cycle.
Exactly, yeah, and it came out on the Wii originally in, I think, 2011. It was maybe a little earlier. I think it was about 2011. But yeah, it was a Wii game. But it's the only game that's not been ported so far in the Zelda series.
I mean, it's going to happen because they've ported everything else. So it's like, well, it's pretty much a guarantee. And we should say that like the placeholder date that was put underneath the thing was like 1st of January 2030. So clearly it was like a very, very preliminary early thing, and then it was quickly removed afterwards. So whether it was legit or not, but the thing that someone's pointed out, so Chris Scullion, who contributes to Nintendo Life, he did mention that like it's next year that it's Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary, so people like doing stuff for anniversaries, don't they?
It's the same thing that they're doing for the Mario anniversary. That big collection is heavily rumoured as well. We're basically all confirmed, but yeah, I mean, I'd be super excited to see Skyward Sword on Switch. I'll be interested to see how they do it because it was massive on the motion controls.
Yeah, wasn't it though? And those things do have accelerometers inside them, so your Joy-Cons can do motion stuff, but it doesn't have the same. They're not quite the same, are they?
No, I don't think the technical specification is exactly the same, and I think it needs a little bit more because if I remember right, when I went back, I had to buy an extra peripheral as well to add on to the bottom of the Wii controller to make it, the motion sensor.
That's right, the little black clip. Sorry, black clip. The black or white clip that you bolted on the bottom that made it work better, like it should have done always.
Motion Plus, I think. That's
right.
His name.
I remember those. And then you'd have to, because that was the one where you're actually like.
Yes.
Which, for the benefit of the listener, I'm waving my arm around like a swinging sword.
It's very majestic.
And I remember trying it in an event. There was some launch event, and they had Skyward Sword, and I was at it. And they could not, the Wii was malfunctioning badly. The tracking had been set up terribly, so all the links down here with the arm like this going the whole time, and the sword couldn't move. And it was like, this is your new game. I think it needs a little bit of refinement. But no, it was the Wii's fault. It wasn't the game.
Did you ever play it then in full? Or?
No, not in full. No, I haven't got it for my Wii, for example. No, to be honest, the Zelda series is one of the things I've played the least. I did the original Link's Awakening. I did the recent one Between Two Worlds. Yeah, well,
that was 3DS.
Yeah, the 3DS one where it's a harking back to that. So I've played those ones, but no, I never had a Wii U. I haven't played any of the. I haven't played Wind Waker. I'm not.
Oh my god, Wind Waker is amazing.
I know. We were talking about that before. Yeah, for that to appear, but
no, I had a good time with it. I mean, I didn't play it on release. I had the Wii U, and then I think I played Wind Waker HD, and I was like, I want some more Zelda. So I went back and bought the peripheral and everything, and then. Yeah, I had a pretty good time with it. I mean, it's not the best Zelda game by a long shot. It's maybe got one of the best relationships of Zelda and Link, which isn't saying much still, but they are very, compelling, the way they've written in that. And the whole, world of Skyward. Skyloft, I think it's Skyloft. That sounds right. Basically, it's a city in the clouds, and then you jump off, and you, fall to different lands and everything like that. You got your fire area, your water, your grass, your normal sort of things.
The classics.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but no, I'd very much be up for playing it again. I mean, some of the dungeons were and the new weapons they introduced were very enjoyable. They had I think it was the beetle.
Yes, I do remember seeing that.
So motion control and and I had lots of fun with that and everything.
Fair enough. Okay, well, speaking of Nintendo, so we'll update you if it appears and when it appears, but they also had their Nintendo Indie World Showcase, didn't they? They did their presentation this week, 18th?
That's right.
Earlier this week. So we had some highlights that appeared out of that. Now, you'll have covered it and watched it.
I did. How did you know?
Yeah, well, of course. So what were your highlights from this? I can see games that capture my interest, but what were your...
I mean, they started off with Hades from Supergiant Games.
Now, this is the guys behind, they did Transistor more recently.
Bastion
and
as well.
They did Bastion originally, which I did play. I played both of them. I played Bastion more. That's good. And it does look like they're doing their thing again. They're doing that game they do, that lovely isometric, beautiful art wandering around.
Dungeon crawler.
Yeah. But this time it's a little bit kind of old world myths and legends, spooky, stuck in the underworld, and you have to do. They're doing their God of War basically, and I like the look of it. It's dead pretty.
It does. It looks stunning, and it's been on other consoles, I believe, or PC.
Oh really? I didn't know it was already out. Oh well.
Yeah, but I think it is made for Switch, something like this. You just look at it and the way it performs. It's 2D-ish, 2D/3D, I think. But yeah, I'm excited to try that out. The other one that actually grabbed me more, so I think it's Raji, an ancient epic. Mm-hmm. So this is the one set in India, inspired by Hindu and Balinese. Is that how you say it?
Balinese, I think.
Balinese, mythology. And it just looked gorgeous and very original. So we don't get a lot of games inspired by India.
No, that's true. It's a kind of an untapped area because people tend to do. I think we've had bad steps into Africa. I'm looking at you, Resident Evil 5. We've had everything in the world set in North America, and then we do have stuff like Tomb Raider where it goes, let's go to the rainforest. So they do South America. And then, of course, you've got your things which pull on Japanese and Chinese culture, primarily Japanese, generally speaking. I know we've had the PS4 one that was popular. What do you call it? The one that we just did that came out, which was their Assassin's Creed game, but with samurai. Ghost of Tsushima. There you go.
Ghost of Tsushima. Right, yeah. The only one I can think of that has actually been set in India, this is a big AAA one, it was Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Oh, was it? Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. That was the additional thing, wasn't it?
But, and then they turned it into its own game.
Yeah, that's right. That was good. That was genuinely
great.
Good. That's a lovely little addition. I enjoyed that one. But the art on this one particularly looks lovely. It's sort of small character wandering around. It's platformer-ish, but it seems to switch between like that faux 2D side-scrolling thing. But mostly it's like small character on the screen, camera floating around. And you exploring worlds. Lots of strange creatures and powers, and she's got a kind of like a halberd, big spear thing that she's fighting with our lead character. But yes, lovely looking design, sense of place, all the rest of it. Hopefully it'll be good. Could be nice. What
Absolutely.
Else did we get? Spiritfarer appeared. Oh yeah, that was a weird one. Did you see this?
Which one's this, sorry?
Spiritfarer.
I did. I saw Rick in our chat going nuts for this one.
It's such a strange mixture of stuff, and from people who've played it or had some contact with it, like it's this like a mixture of it is a management game, but where you're looking after you got a ship and you've got a lot of buildings on the ship, as if this ship is like a little floating village, for example, and it's in like 2D, and so you have to place things, like build bits in the right places and make room for other stuff, and it's got like a Tetris element to it where you're like moving them around so the stuff fits together, and you have to move people upstairs and downstairs. It's quite
dark though, isn't it? You're transporting people from the afterlife.
Yeah. But apparently, it just looks really unusual, and I've not seen anything quite like it in terms of the idea. The video, by the way, is up on PG, so go and have a look. They've got the full Nintendo showcase thing up there if you want to look at it. So yeah, that one's got promise, and Torchlight 3 is coming over. That's nice.
I think it's also worth spotlighting like the amount of Apple Arcade games that were that got announced and released the same day. Lots of contracts seem to be expired now with Apple. So you have this, was it Takeshi and Hiroshi, which was a nice little story. Manifold Garden. That was on Apple Arcade, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. That's right.
There was another
that came out last week for... Actually, I don't know. Hang on. Manifold Garden, we covered that ages and ages ago, yeah. That was really interesting, actually. Check out the video that I did for that one. Very unusual art style, 3D puzzle thing with really lo-fi graphics and lots of... you're working with colour to solve the puzzles. Very cool, very interesting.
And on top of that, Grindstone.
Yes, Grindstone's coming over. Apparently Subnautica's coming over as well, which is really interesting. I played it in a VR, because that's the Oculus get stuck underwater and start to panic game. It's very good for that. But that coming to Switch is interesting as well. Plus its follow-up Sub-Zero, which is Below Zero, sorry, not Sub-Zero. Loads of stuff that they announced there.
It was a strong showing. There was something for everyone, I thought. And also they ended on Untitled Goose Game. And brought two-player...
Is that the 2-player? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, I missed that bit. I did wonder what they'd added. But okay, so 2 geese being pricks instead of 1.
Basically.
Cool.
I'm just waiting for that town to get overrun with geese, and it'd just be like a hellish nightmare for them people.
I assume they'll limit it to just 2 people. You could do a flock, though.
Yeah.
Having like a massive multiplayer thing where there's just tons of them, this army of geese trundling over the city. That would be quite good.
It's just nice, because obviously Nintendo's been very quiet this year, and we still don't have a major idea of what's coming up in the next few months. So for them to do this showcase and go, hey, half of these games are available today, it was great.
Good. I'm pleased to hear that. Positive news after all this miserable legal wrangling nonsense. So go and see the full list over on podgamer.com if you want to, and anticipate, look forward to your new indie goodness on your Switch. That's the delicious sound I make when I get indie games. Ooh. Right, let's do some new releases. I realised in the opening bit I didn't mention the Samurai Jack, which is sort of the bigger release
Yeah.
But surprise, everyone, we're going to be talking about Samurai Jack. Okay. Out and about this week, we're going to start things off with the game I should have mentioned at the top, but didn't, which is Samurai Jack, A Battle Through Time, I think it's called. Yep. So Jack has returned. This is for fans of the late 90s, early noughties cartoon.
Yeah, it was on Cartoon Network, wasn't it?
Cartoon Network one. It was back in that day when lots of cartoons were around doing that style where they had almost like a crossover appeal, where yes, they were Cartoon Network cartoons for kids, but also I think they were a slightly older audience who recognized what it was pastiching, like the whole kind of samurai Ronin, film, Kurosawa stuff, and was identifying that maybe there was stuff in there that was actually quite good and worked well for an adult audience. I'm going to put Invader Zim in that category as well, which was around the same time, and
Johnny Bravo,
and all that stuff where it's like there is something more than just like, oh, it's for kids and it's nonsense. Like, it's actually quite good and funny, and Zim particularly with that comeback film that came onto Netflix, which worked really well. And then I think they've been talking about bringing back Samurai Jack.
It's been in the works for a while, I believe, yeah.
Well, this is the one I've watched the least out of all those we just mentioned. So I'm not like down with the lore, although I'm obviously very familiar with the cartoon and what it looks like and whatnot. So this is a game it was floating around actually our Launchpad event that we did. We've been talking to them for a bit. And it has now appeared on Apple Arcade. It's also appearing on other platforms as well. But obviously we've been playing the mobile version. And the way that it works is it's third person wandering around hack and slash adventure. That's what you're dealing with. So camera floating around you, standard twin stick business, buttons in the bottom right hand corner for attacking and dodging and parrying and all the rest of it. Well, not parry, just put your shield up. And then as you go through the game, more stuff unlocks. They are keeping it nice and cartoony. Art is nice. It's kind of that. It's not cel shaded, but it's very simple. There's not like lots and lots of micro detail. It's made to look like the animated series, though I think it maybe loses a little bit of the personality of it because they tend to have those thick black lines when they're in 2D. And a part of me, and I don't know if this happened already at some point, but like I'd love to see that animation done like as a game. So it looks exactly like the cartoon, and it's like a 2D side-scrolling kind of thing. I bet you it would look amazing because that art style's lovely. But
I imagine it'd take a long time.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, everything takes a long time. And
yes.
I'm so hesitant to be like, oh no, it would be easy. No, it wouldn't. None of game design. No game design is easy. It's all incredibly hard. When everyone says like, oh, it's just easy when they do that, it's really difficult. That's why they don't do it. But I'd like to see that thing animated. But what they've done here works and works well. In terms of the feel of it and the way that it plays, I have reservations on mobile. I think maybe they'd be better on other platforms. But when you start out the game, the controls are very limited. They're very stripped back. So you pretty much only have, the ability to attack and jump. So and you got a major attack, fast attack and a heavy attack. The fast attack's a much bigger button on the screen and the heavy attack's next to it, and then you have a jump button. And that's kind of it. But as you start to unlock things and you upgrade skills, there is a skill tree which are, divided into the classic three-pronged, attack and defense, and then many more branches off of that tree. There has to be in every game now. It's in every Tomb Raider game, and now everything has it.
It's in every Sony game, yeah.
Yeah. So it's got that, and you upgrade by collecting fire mana from killing things and smashing up crystals that are lying around and stuff like that. There are barrels to smash. It's fun. And the problem is, as you start to get new things, you'll be able to get a defensive button. So that suddenly appears on the screen. And then you get like, hey, there's a flame-looking thing which powers a charged attack that after a while will build up, and then you can unleash and take out about 4 people in one go. So that button, boom, appears on the screen. And then you get another power, and that appears. And it's like, right, this, down here in the bottom right-hand corner, this is now getting very, very busy. Buttons keep popping up all over the place. Because when I first picked it up, I was like, hey, that's quite nice and minimal. Excellent. And then after maybe like half an hour or something, it's like suddenly like pimples
Chaos.
Popping up on a face. Like, like, oh, what? Now there are all these tiny little... And now this is a little bit fiddly. And I had to go and adjust the camera controls because turning the camera was a real like, turn. Come on, turn. So I had to like max out the sensitivity so I could actually just, look around quickly enough. There's a lock-on button that appears, so you can lock in on enemies, which is very useful, but again, it's another button. And got a bit cluttered down there, and the buttons are small, I was missing things. And I was like, got that feeling, that feeling where it's like, might want to plug in a Bluetooth controller here, or, maybe I should be playing this on a PlayStation, or something like that. And that's always a bad feeling to feel.
Yeah, it's not what you want.
But the actual tone of the game, it's fun. And, like, they're throwing a lot of enemies at you. Like, they're trying to make you just hack. It's one of those. It's not like you're squaring off against one enemy for ages. It's deliberately kind of throwing waves, and you slice through them in a couple of shots, and it gives you a nice sense of, empowerment. And it will switch from a 2D to a 3D, or 2.5D to 3D, so you're wandering around open world style, and then you'll start a level, and the camera will be at the side, and you're just, moving left to right, and it's kind of moving around the edge, but there's only on one plane, and then you hop off, and suddenly it opens up again. So it changes itself up a bit. And it's got the good voice acting. All the real voices are there, all the real people. And you get boss battles and all the rest of it. It's fun. It's sort of nice and light and cartoony and what you would want. I think maybe, a bit fiddly on the control front.
Does it feel a full experience from what you've played so far? Because I know some criticisms of Apple Arcade is, some of them are only an hour, maybe, or an hour to 2.
Oh, right. Oh, no, I haven't completed it or anything. I don't know. I've played a couple of hours of it, and I've enjoyed the time that I spent with it, and the boss has leveled nicely, and I felt like I was making progress. It feels light, and the fact that it's going to other platforms as well. It's designed for all consoles. It's not something that's been specifically engineered for, Apple Arcade or anything.
No.
And I think I feel that a little bit here, where it's like this has clearly been made for multi-platform, and we're stuck with the mobile controls here, rather than this was made exclusively for mobile, in which case perhaps things would have been done a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's still great to have the option, of course, and I think it's a bit more promising that Apple is sort of bringing up bigger IPs again across. I mean, there seemed to be in a bit of a gap. I mean, last week we got Game of Thrones.
Which version? Because we've had so many Game of Thrones games on mobile.
Now you've asked me.
What did they get last week? Because I didn't see any Games of Thrones. And to be honest, I haven't played a single good Game of Thrones game. They've always been those like sort of 2D build your army on a map screen with like it could be a HTML5 game. Like they've never been anything I've been interested in.
That's fair. Yeah, the game that came out was Game of Thrones: Tale of Crows. So it is basically what you were mentioning, the top-down sort of strategy game sort of thing. From Devolver Digital, who are, I think they're pretty good.
Tale of Crows, this is for Apple Arcade?
Yes.
Ooh, all right. I'll have to have a look at that then. That's getting videoed. Is it RTS? Is it because I think I saw...
It looks to be. But yeah, that's what... real-time idle game.
Real-time idle. Oh, that's quite pretty. I like the look of that. All right. Sorry, I'll have to cover that. Slight sidebar in the podcast there, but I want to make sure I have a look at it.
This is what I mean, though. They got Game of Thrones last week, Samurai Jack this week. SpongeBob was not too long ago. Mm-hmm. So it might be a Cartoon Network deal there, but there was a big gap where it did seem to be more independent games. Well, they're all independent, but do you know what I mean? Smaller titles that maybe wouldn't attract many people to the service.
Not by name recognition, anyway.
Yes, exactly.
There is that problem where, like, you slapping a brand on something, it obviously draws attention, but often the games can be quite lackluster. And that was the rule back in the early days of gaming. If it was a movie tie-in or a TV tie-in, then it would almost definitely be garbage. Like, that's how that worked. And you need to avoid those games because they were almost certainly rushed and rubbish, but that's not been the case in latter years of gaming. We've had some fantastic ones tied into big IPs, so no reason to fear this. And I've enjoyed the Samurai Jack thing, and the best thing about it is like I don't have to say, oh, is it worth the money? Because either you're subscribed to Apple Arcade, in which case you can play it, go for it, give it a go, and if you're not, then you can't. So it makes it nice and easy for you, but not without its problems. But I had some fun. It was all right. Now, we've got other things that we should probably smash through. So the Bonfire 2 Uncharted Shores. I showed this on the Launchpad stream as well, and this is the sequel to the Bonfire Forsaken Lands, I think it appeared. That was out on PC and mobile in 2018.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, and everybody seemed to really like it, so the second one's come along, and once again, you are sailing in to an island, and you are building a little colony. You're starting off your bonfire, you're sending your people out, you go find fire, you go cut down some trees, build us a little hut that we can sleep in tonight. And then as you're doing that, oh no, it's turned nighttime, wolves are coming, holy crap, and you have to deal with that. It's all done in a very simple, like proper old-fashioned isometric way, little people running around the screen, and you're managing each one of them, seeing what they do and what their strengths are. And then suddenly from the forest, a couple of people come running out, and you're like, oh no, you're readying your knives, and they're like, look, we've come from elsewhere in the village, we don't want to be there anymore, can we stay with you, can we be part of your village? And you're like, oh yeah, come on in, there's plenty of room. You better start chopping down trees though, because we don't have many huts now. And so your little village grows and grows and becomes a town and becomes a city. And that's the idea. You have to keep leveling all your buildings. You start developing an army. And you build your own little civilization. It's sort of randomly generated, I believe. So that, every time you play it, or if you started again, it would be different, play out very differently. And it's got a lot of stuff going on. I've only scratched the surface of this. I played it more after the Launchpad stream. So I got to see some buildings get bigger and some more terrible things happen.
I'm not liking these giant spiders and insects coming in.
Weird beasties start coming in after a while, and it's like, oh dear, crap. And so you need to start really looking after your defenses. I burned the whole village down myself. But it's kind of cool. And so every time you play, the maps themselves are procedurally generated, so you wind up with a different area which you have to populate and whatnot. So this is a $4.99, £4.99 affair. It's App Store only at the moment, and it's out on Steam today, because this came out earlier in the week on mobile. So you can go and have a look at it. I think it's really nicely done, even if it's not necessarily my kind of game. But I think your mileage may vary depending on what it is that you want from these kind of things. This is one where I say go and watch the video and look at the visuals, look at the way that it plays out, and get a feel for it, because I think it's a very specific game where I know that there are going to be a bunch of people who will be bored immediately by this.
Yeah, I always weigh this sort of stuff as well, because it's $4.99. That's the same price of a month of Apple Arcade. It's like, what would you get more out of?
This is true. So go and have a look at the stuff we have. We got a preview that was put up, and also we played it live on the Launchpad screen. So you're going to have a look at that stream recording on YouTube if you want to. Now, you've been playing something. So you've been busy this week, but you did play something. It's not technically out this week.
No, it came out about a month ago. So
it's a bit old, but we haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. So what is it you've been investing time into?
Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
And this is on the Switch, right?
It is on the Switch, yes.
Okay, so this is the pod racing game that came out for the PS2, 3?
I played it on the Nintendo 64.
Oh my god, yeah, well there you go. So yeah, PS2 era, yeah.
And it still looks like it's from the Nintendo 64, because obviously it's just got a HD upres, and these sort of games should not have HD upreses, because my god is it ugly. Oh!
Got them sweet blurry textures, but they have the smooth lines around the edge now. It's very confusing for my eyes.
All the aliens as well, it's just like, oh my god, you've landed, you've been in a crash or something, and it's just, not the good at all. What did it do? It came out in 1999.
There you go.
So that's how long it's been out. But yes, I've got very fond memories of playing this game as a kid.
Okay. So this is nostalgia for you then?
It is, very much so. I always remember going around to my cousins and playing the game and leaving with blisters. It's the only game to ever give me full-on blisters, and I had them for weeks, I remember, just because you're pushing down the button so hard to accelerate and everything. So, but yeah, it's out now on Nintendo Switch. Has been for a while. It's fun. It's not great. I'm not. It's a nostalgia thing for me. You basically you pod racing, which is the best thing from what is it? Phantom Menace. The only good thing, in my opinion, from it.
Yes. The rendering on the pods themselves and the way that they fly was very impressive for the time. Purely CGI, that sequence is very impressive on a technical level. And it's also good because the characters aren't properly talking to each other, so there's no real dialogue, which takes a lot of the pain out of it.
I think this game actually came out before the film, interestingly, because I remember that being a big deal.
90, no, it wasn't 97, was it? I thought it was 99, so I thought it was
It is 99. I think this came out like a month before or something. Because I think it was a big deal, all the characters and everything like that, seeing Anakin Skywalker's first time as a kid, and everyone was so excited, and then everyone saw the film, and yes,
you see,
history.
I'm watching it. Plus side, there's a very good sense of speed. Like, it does feel fast, in the same way that like Wipeout feels fast and stuff like that. So that's good. On the downside, when they up-res these visuals, when they do the upscale, it makes everything seem so stark. Because when you have the low-res muddy textures, and then the edges are also like a little bit aliased or blurry and have the jaggies, there's just like a lot more... It's all of a piece, it all fits. When you take the low-res textures and then make them like perfectly smooth, anti-aliased, it just looks weird. I've never really liked the look of it when they do these. It doesn't quite work for me. I want to play it like through an emulator. I want to play it how it looked,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Again, it's just all nostalgia, but it's ridiculously easy. That's one thing that I've been finding from it. Like, as soon as you get to first place, you're just like, well, I've won this. So until and I've only just started the first few tournaments. So I imagine as you get higher and higher, it will get more difficult. But it's just been quite satisfying to jump in for 5-10 minutes here, do a race, see if I can progress and try and get through to unlocking Subulba, who is who was the big brute from. He was the weird. Yes. He had like 3-pronged arms or something.
He was good character design. Like,
he was.
Silly though those prequels were, he had a good voice.
But I've been playing as Gascano, who's like the big cricket guy with 4 leg and arms. Yeah. So I've invested in him, and there's like little bits like you can mod your pod racer and anything like that. I don't know how much it actually makes a difference, to be honest, because I've been investing in like speed and everything and like traction and just like not so sure, stuff like that. And
how much are they charging for this hit of nostalgia?
So $14.99.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on Switch and everything. I think it's on almost major consoles, but it depends what you want to get out of it. At the end of the day, I'm having a great time with it. It's one of the big things, which is daft, which is very refreshing to get, is you've got the official music from Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that's nice. They have the
you open it up, you get
it.
the theme blasting, and then you go on the title screen, and it's Duel of the Fates, and you're like, yes, that was worth the money alone.
AKA the actual best thing about the prequels was
100%.
That soundtrack's incredible. Like, some of the best Star Wars music's in there. Unfortunately, it's on those films, but absolute tunes. All right, cool, fair enough. So 15 quid for your Star Wars nostalgia porn. We'll bear that in mind. Speaking
Don't judge me.
of bringing remastered versions of old games, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair is now out. We covered the first one when it appeared. We announced that the second one was on its way. It's now here on iOS and Android at the minute. So it's going to be $15.99, $16.99. It's another pricey one, but as we mentioned before, these games, they have a real fan base and people love them. And if you haven't played them, then, interactive narrative novel thing with lots of weird characters, but it's a very dark edge to it, where it's got that sort of, not battle royale, but it kind of is in the terms of everyone must try and kill everybody else, but they must do it through assessment and Phoenix Wright style, like, competition, juries, I choose you, and you must argue why you shouldn't, and then, oh no,
objection,
terrible things have happened and you've been like murked to death by a motorbike inside a giant spinning cube. It's very weird. And this one gets a bit fan servicey, but there's a huge fan base. People love these games. People will buy this, I guarantee. And to be fair, the port of the first one, very good, played really nicely, very at home, given the nature it's visual novel and you're just tapping to skip through text for like 90% of the game. But then even the first person bits, which are small, and then moving the camera around, great, all felt well positioned to be on a touch screen. So I'm sure this will be likewise. We'll check it out though to make sure. 2 more, which was Odd Dot, which is a text adventure game that Dan has highlighted. I haven't, monochrome, black and white. It looks incredibly minimal, where you're picking out like individual words and advancing that way. I'm not quite sure how it works. Dan reassures me that it's good, so you can see a video of it running on our Games of the Week page. And finally, Shadow of Naught. This is one of the ones we didn't have on the account, so we haven't played it, so described as an interactive drama. revolving around 3 characters playing out through like memories, as all these things do. But it's got like a mixture of stuff where you're seeing actual character interactions, you're doing bits where you're scrolling through a mobile phone and you're looking for text messages, and so it's got a bit of that, like, I guess it's almost a bit of an interactive novel, but lots of mini games by the look of it. There's a mini game where you're playing a piano, and so you're hitting as the notes descend in an almost Guitar Hero kind of way. So it clearly like mixes up a lot of different styles of mini game with a story. Nice art, very sort of I guess 1950s pop art, I'd say, something like that. I don't know if it was in the 1950s, but it has that very, you know, clean line, block color look. Looks nice. Haven't played it. Shadow of Naught, Naught at the minute. Costs cash, iOS and Android, both of them. Okay, we're at the time, 45. That'll do the trick. Thank you for joining me today, Matthew. Good to see you again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And you folks out there in the world, don't buy a silly Epic merch. Don't do it. Don't demean yourself.
Buy Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer instead.
Yeah, sure. And come back next week. We'll chat more about games. We'll see if Fortnite's reappeared. And lots more mobile gaming business. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.